Good day everyone. For today's video, we are going to identify an application of fertilizer. Fertilizers are generally defined as any material, organic or inorganic, natural or synthetic, which supplies one or more of the chemical elements required for the plant growth. Most fertilizer that commonly used in agriculture contains the basic plant nutrients nitrogen, phosphorus, and potassium. Examples of manufactured or chemically synthesized inorganic fertilizer include ammonium nitrate, potassium sulfate, and phosphorus sulfate or triple sulfate. Example of this is a 14-14 fertilizer. Then is made up of 14% nitrogen, 14% phosphorus, and 14% of potassium. And next is the urea, which is 46% of nitrogen. So its analysis 4600 is actually has carbon in it, in a sense of you can call it organic nitrogen. And for the ammonium phosphate is 1620 is an excellent source of potassium and nitrogen for plant nutrition. It is used for root and foliage development during the early stage of plant. Organic fertilizer are fertilizers that naturally produce fertilizer any materials that be added to the soil or plants in order to provide nutrients and sustain growth. An example of this is compost. Commonly contain about 2% nitrogen or 0.5 to 1% phosphorus and 2% potassium. Nitrogen fertilizers and manure may be added to seed decomposition. Example of organic fertilizer also is the vermicast. It is a supplement to the condition the soil, as well as the NPK levels nitrogen or the nitrogen, phosphorus, and potassium of 5 to 3:3. Vermicast also have additional growth hormones, trace elements, microbes, and beneficial bacteria. They are rich in iron and sulfur and also the calcium. Animal manure is recognized as an excellent source of plant nutrients, that is nitrogen, phosphorus, and potassium. In addition, manure terms organic matter and other nutrients such as calcium, magnesium, and sulfur to the soil and building the fertility and quality. Fertilizer is most effective when used on plants at their peaking growth cycle. This is when the plant is leafing out of diseased species, flowering, or putting a new growth, leaving that the dormant winter stage. The time of year for fertilizing most plants would be spring. During planting, fertilizer is applied below the soil surface close to the seed row, or often the fertilizer is placed 1 to 2 inches below or below and the other side of the side row. In cool, wet areas, a starter application or fertilizer is placed in a subsurface band to boost seedling growth. Potassium is needed to the plant because it associates with the movement of water, nutrients, and carbohydrates in plant tissue. It involves the enzyme activation within the plant, which affects protein, starch, and adenosine triphosphate or ATP production, and the production of ATP can regulate the rate of the photosynthesis. Plant also need nitrogen because it plays a critical role within the plant to ensure energy is available when and where the plant needs to optimize yield. This crucial nutrient is even present in the roots as protein, and enzyme helps regulate water and nutrient uptake. And the phosphorus. Phosphorus is a vital component of ATP, the energy unit of plants. ATP forms during photosynthesis has the phosphorus in its structure and processes from the beginning of seedling growth through the formation of grain maturity. Thus, phosphorus is essential for the general health and vigor of all plants. This is an equipment for using in side dressing a plant. It is called a double-duty side dressing rig. So, side dressing is simple what the name implies. Dressing is the plant fertilizer by adding to the side of the stem. Gardeners usually lay a line for fertilizer along the plant row about 4 inches to 10 centimeter away from the stem, and then another row for the same way on the opposite side of the plants. And that's all for today's video. I hope you learned something, and thanks.